Abbiamo scoperto quindi quanto le università durante questo periodo possono veramente offrire delle grandi opportunità non soltanto agli studenti, ma pensate soprattutto all'economia britannica. Io però vorrei parlarne ancora di più per cercare di capire che cosa sta succedendo in questo periodo insieme al professor Chris Day. He is one of the contributors to the UK report and Vice Chancellor of Newcastle University. Welcome to London One Radio, Professor Chris Day.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. So, can you please explain to us what did you discover throughout all these months doing this research regarding universities that can help to grow the economy in the UK?
Yeah, so I think we found across the whole of the UK really that universities are key local, national and international assets that can help achieve prosperity, opportunity and well-being across the country. We're some of the best in the world for research, skills development, innovation and enterprise. Very much part of local communities with roots in the communities that run very deep, often founded by the people of those localities, and very much invested in the long-term and short-term successes of those communities. And what we found is that in many parts of the UK, very widespread, that universities were a key driver of the economy and likely to be so for the foreseeable future.
But of course we need students, and I was just talking about it with your colleague before, but there was like a short, like a very slight decline of application, isn't it? How can we make universities in the UK the most attractive?
I think actually contrary to that, we've never had more 18-year-olds in the UK than we have at the moment. University applications are extremely buoyant, both from our own students, so from the UK students, and from overseas. You might think with all sorts of things going on in the UK that might be putting off overseas students, but if anything, we've seen a continued rise in demand. So I don't think there's any problem with numbers of students applying at the moment, whether it be the traditional 18-year-old students coming to do their first degree, or what we're increasingly seeing is more mature students coming to university later in their life to so-called skill up in key new industries.
That's quite interesting. But what about instead European citizens, for example? Because I remember just a few years ago, there were like plenty of European students coming here because the UK universities gave them a lot of opportunities. What about now after Brexit?
Yeah, so you're right to pick on that. So the one area where we have seen a decline is in students from Europe as opposed to the world in general, and that is fairly clearly because before Brexit they were paying lower fees. They were paying so-called home UK student fees, and after Brexit they were being charged international fees. Now that they are higher, and obviously for some students across Europe that has put them off. They've presumably gone elsewhere in their own country or elsewhere in the world and not come here. Some universities have tried to counter that by offering scholarships for European students, but I think it would be fair to say that there has been some decline in European students in UK universities.
Going back to the research, now that you have the results, what's the aim?
So I think the aim is to convince the government, policymakers, to say, if you want the economy to grow in all parts of the UK, where better to start than in the universities? They are, say, rooted in their local communities. They are working usually very closely with local and national industries. They are producing graduates for those industries, the commercial sector, and they are upskilling those workers. So if you want to grow the economy, why not start off in the institutions that are natural conveners of the local players, whether that be local government, whether that be the commercial sector, whether it be the voluntary sector, and create the conditions that allow those universities to partner with businesses and grow those local and national economies.
Before ending our conversation, the last questions, which is related to the topic we were just talking about. Do you think government should do more in terms of financial support to university?
Absolutely. I think one of the points of this report is to convince the government that enabling universities to thrive in a financial way gives them that flexibility to do this work with their local communities, with local businesses. If they're struggling to make ends meet just in their basic teaching function with some research, then they're not going to be able to fulfill these functions. So I think one of the main drivers of this report is to justify further government funding for many of the initiatives that so far have been successful and we would see being successful going forward.
And also support all the people who are working inside the universities, because I know there have been some people who were like moaning about their salaries, etc. But I think with a little bit of support, everything can be done. I believe so. Thank you very much, Professor Chris Day, for being with us and sharing more details about your reports that show how university can really enrich our society and economy here in the UK. Thank you very much.
Thank you.